Hey, this is Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Today I'm going to show you how to rebuild your accelerator pump on your carbureted dirt bike or ATV. An accelerator pump is going to be found on a performance 4-stroke ATV or dirt bike that's carbureted. Now, how this works is the accelerator pump sprays some fuel down the carburetor throat and helps eliminate some of that bottom end hesitation when you first crack your throttle open. Now, the diaphragm, this is the heart of the pump. This actually pushes the fuel through that circuit, and if you have problems with this, what happens, this piece can actually get cracked and then it's not going to push that fuel through. So you're going to have some really bad hesitations, and you could also possibly have some fuel leaks. Same with these O-rings, they can go flat over time, and again, you're going to have fuel leaks. So if any of those parts are bad, you're going to need to replace them, and all of them come in this kit. This is the Tusk Accelerator Pump Rebuild Kit. We're going to use some carburetor clean with that. Now, if you're cleaning your carburetor, maybe doing other work on this, and these parts haven't been replaced for a while, I highly recommend replacing these while you're in there, and that way you get the best performance out of your machine, and you're gonna help eliminate any of those future leaks. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this and show you how to get your accelerator pump rebuilt, and we'll also talk about accelerator pump covers and leak jets. Now, to do all of this, you're gonna need some rags, safety glasses, rubber gloves, and then we also have screwdrivers and a pick, and you always want to refer to your model-specific service manual. All right, right here we have two carburetors, and if you're not sure what an accelerator pump is, then I'm gonna show you right now. So this carburetor, it's off a CR250R, and it has no accelerator pump. This one is off a YZ450F, and it has this accelerator pump, just a small cover with 3 screws in it, and that's how you're gonna tell if it has an accelerator pump. Sometimes people confuse this with an air cutoff valve. So an air cutoff valve is going to be on the side of the carburetor. So this accelerator pump, it's always going to be on the bottom. Now, to get this accelerator pump rebuilt, you need to remove the carburetor from the machine. So you're going to want to spray it off that area, and that way you don't get any dirt where it's not supposed to be. And the methods of removing the carburetor will vary from machine to machine. You're going to want to refer to your model-specific service manual. Some carburetors come off the side of the bike, some come out the back. You remove the subframe and shock. And then ATVs, the fuel tank, and there's a plastic tray underneath. A lot of times you're going to have to remove those. But again, just refer to your model-specific service manual. Now, to rebuild this accelerator pump, it's really simple. You just need to remove these 3 screws on the cover, and if the screws give you any trouble, you can use an impact driver on them. Now, we'll remove this cover. Keep in mind you have a couple of O-rings under here. You want to keep track of those, and the spring that's behind the cover. All right, for this diaphragm, I'm just going to grab on the end and pull this out. Now, if you're having problems with this, there's a good chance that this is going to be cracked all the way on this inside, all the way around on the rubber. And this one actually looks pretty good, but again, we want to show you how to do this, so we're still going to replace it. Now, moving on to these O-rings, these things get flattened out over time, and this is really what was going on with ours. These are completely flat and they're not sealing the way that they should be. This one down here on the pump cover is actually a D-ring. So one side comes flat and one side comes rounded, but right now both sides look flat. So I'm going to take that out. We'll use our pick to remove the other O-ring. Now at this point we're ready to clean these parts up, and if that diaphragm went bad, you're probably going to have some rubber chunks laying around in here. So we're just going to make sure we spray through these passageways in the cover, make sure they're free and clear. And then we're also going to spray the surface off as well. Now, if there's a lot of green junk on either one of these surfaces, you're going to want to go through and clean your carburetor. You're probably going to use a carburetor rebuild kit for that. And we've got some videos that can help you go through your carburetor and get it rebuilt. The next thing we can do, so this has a one-way passage to let fuel in here, and then some of these are going to have a leak jet to regulate fuel going back into the float bowl. But what we're going to do is spray the passageway where this actually pumps fuel out into the carburetor throat. So I'm just going to lift up on that slide. I'm going to spray through here and make sure it's coming through that throat. Once everything's cleaned up, you can go ahead and reassemble it. So first thing we're going to do is take our diaphragm. We're going to set this into place. And with the diaphragm, one side has a lip on it. That lip is going to be facing towards the top of the carburetor. It sits right down in its groove. Next, we will take our D-ring, and the rounded side of the D-ring is going to be facing up towards the carburetor body, flat side against that pump cover. Now we'll take the bigger O-ring, set that in place, and the spring goes right here on the metal portion of our diaphragm. And the tricky part is keeping all of the O-rings in place while you put this together. So what I like to do is have the spring in my cover, and then I'm going to watch both of these O-rings from the side, make sure they stay right where they need to be while I set the cover in place. And then I'm going to hold this cover in place while I tighten all of the screws with my other hand. And if you had a bracket to route any of your hoses on one of these screws, make sure you put it back in the right place. So now that we have the accelerator pump rebuilt, this should get you back up and going and bring the stock performance back. But if you want to increase your performance, you can get aftermarket covers. Now, the difference on these, a lot of times a stock cover, it's just going to have one port right here for fuel flow. This one's the QuickShot 3. It's got 3 holes right there. And the cool thing about this is it has an adjustable leak jet. So you do have to do some mods to your float bowl when you use one of these. Or if you just want to use this QuickShot 2, you're going to have 2 orifices right here. And it's just a bolt-on kit. You don't have to do any mods to the float bowl. That's what this one has on right now. This is an older style of the QuickShot 2. So with that, it's just going to help the performance. When you first crack that throttle open, it eliminates any hesitation. Now, since I've mentioned the leak jet a couple of different times, again, this QuickShot 3, you can adjust it from outside of the carburetor. But if you don't have that, you're going to have to go inside the carburetor to adjust it. So we're going to go ahead and remove the float bowl and show you what's going on. Once you have this float bowl off, I'm going to go in here and I want to make sure I don't lose the washer and O-ring that go to the fuel screw. So I'm going to use a little pick to get those out. Anytime you're in here, you want to make sure that float bowl gasket is in good condition. Now on some of these FCR carburetors, they actually didn't have a leak jet in them. So this is off an older bike, and where the leak jet is just completely plugged off. But if your machine does have a leak jet, then you have some adjustability, and this is what it looks like. It's just a really tiny jet. It takes a flat blade screwdriver. And where this comes into play is when you actually start doing different mods to your machine. Like if you did an airbox mod for more airflow and you have a little bit of a hesitation when you first snap the throttle, you can change this leak jet out and try to get a better throttle response. So that's where that's going to help you out. You also have this right here. This is your one-way check valve. And if this was all gummed up, you'd want to spray through that before you put the pump cover on and make sure you have flow through that, and that way you know everything's working correctly. Now, the other thing to note on these leak jets is a larger number is going to give you less fuel flow through the accelerator pump, and a smaller number is going to give you more fuel flow. So just keep that in mind when you're making your adjustments. And that's all there is to rebuilding your accelerator pump. The last things that we need to do are reassemble our carburetor. We're going to put it in our bike and make sure everything works okay. Now, if you need any of the parts that we used today, they're available on our website. And these carburetors, they can be complicated. So if you need help cleaning these out, we do have videos that can help get you through that. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.